It's wonderful to welcome Siobhan Bodrug to this podcast. I hope I pronounced both your first and last name correctly.
You did.
She's an up-and-coming musician based in Toronto, and glad to have her on the show. Siobhan, welcome to the show. How are
Thank
you?
you so much for having me. This is awesome.
So I first heard of you by Peterborough's local podcast host, Ken John Jones or Jonesy of Jonesy's
Yeah.
Corner. I had him on the program like a couple of years ago.
Oh, cool.
He's an interesting guy to talk to. So, how did you guys know each other?
Actually, so I met him through socials, so social media. I am really good friends with this amazing Peterborough musician called Van Camp, also known as Kelvin. It's his name personally. So he was kind of doing stuff with Jonesy, and so I kind of just followed Jonesy on socials. That's how I found this whole new world.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you a guest on his podcast?
Not yet, but very soon, hopefully. I need to we I've been I Undertow, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, just came out a month and a half ago. So I'm just trying to strategically do podcast interviews as new songs come out. So I'm still we're working on some new stuff that hopefully I'll get to talk about with Jonesy. But yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I'm guessing you have more music planned this year.
Yes. Last year was the year of my first tour and kind of focusing more on music. I was in a school program called Songwriting in Independent Performance at Seneca College, which is in Toronto. And I did that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to pursue this full time next year. So that kind of was last summer and last fall, and now continuing into right now in the winter. So I've just been, yeah, it's been we're putting an album together. We're planning a tour for the summer this summer. We're planning shows. It's like all of the good stuff.
All right. Yeah, I look forward to when the album comes out.
Me too. It's coming along really slowly, but I've noticed that's how albums come out. Very, very slow.
Yeah, yes, I noticed it too.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do know another great Peterborough musician friend of mine. Irish Millie is her name, but her actual
Oh,
name is
okay.
Millie Shatget. She's
Cool.
studying in U of T at the moment, also in the music
Oh,
program.
awesome.
And she's a fiddler. So yeah, if you have a chance,
Oh, perfect.
I can send you her contact info and you can connect, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I've seen her through Jonesy. I
Okay.
haven't, I think I follow her. She's awesome.
Okay.
It's like it's pretty cool to kind of see that kind of in music. I don't see that kind of music very often, so had to drop a follow.
Yeah, I think I was introduced to the entirety of like Peterborough and Canadian music through her. So she was like
Oh,
amongst the first people whom I invited on this show,
oh,
and that
perfect.
led me to a succession of big name or
Yeah,
up and coming musicians from Canada mostly.
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. So how long have you lived in Toronto?
So I grew up in Prince Edward County, which is super, super close to Peterborough. And I lived there until I was about 13. And then I moved here when I was 13. And so I've been in Toronto now for about 7 years. But I was born here. So I lived here for the first year or two of my life, and then I moved and then I came back.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I came back to go to an arts high school called Wexford, which is in Scarborough. And so that's kind of why I came back to Toronto, is because I wanted to be more immersed in the art scene. So I did musical theater actually at Wexford, which was really awesome. But yeah.
Hmm. And what year are you in your college program?
So my college program was only 1 year, and that was last year. So I am not in the college program anymore.
Okay.
I don't, as a musician, I find that it's really important just to kind of do it and not be in school. So I mean, I school is great, and I met so many amazing people. But if I was going to do something again, it would probably be in the next couple of years. So yeah, but I'm not currently in school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about like your fondest memories participating in that program.
Uh, it was just awesome because I've met so many great people. I was able to, create a connection based on just purely music because that's something that we all had in common. And I had never had that before in my life. It was more like, oh, okay, like this is like my school elementary school friend. Oh, we both like chocolate or like so it was really cool to kind of be able to actually have a connection through music that creates friendship. So I actually am currently I'm two of my really great friends, Logan. She goes by LA. She is a rapper. We're doing a song together that will be released sometime this year. And then also my really good friend, Ella Frank. Also, she goes by Ella Siren Song, I believe. She's been great, and we're going to be doing a song together. So the connections that I made in school have kind of continued on, which is my favorite part of that whole program.
Glad to hear.
Yeah.
So how would you describe your music?
So I as an artist, as a listener of music, I really enjoy people like Billie Eilish, her brother Phineas, Liz McAlpine is a really good one. My whole room, I don't know if you can see a little bit of it here, is purple, and that is based on Purple Rain by Prince. I love Prince. So I had kind of these influences coming up, or Alicia Keys, Aretha Franklin. So a lot of my music is soul based, but I consider myself like an indie pop musician. My big part of my music is, just I'm a very honest person, and so that's what I want in my music. I want that to come across. So a lot of the stuff is a lot of the songs are about me and kind of what I've gone through or things that my collaborator, who is also my dad, has gone through. So I think that's kind of I'm very honest indie pop artist. That's how I like to describe my music.
I see.
Yeah.
So on a related question, what kinds of songs would you like to write?
What kinds of songs would I like to write? I'm always up for a challenge. I like to write any sort of song that I can. Like what I was saying before, my friend Logan, she is a rapper, and so we had to write the hook for the rap, which was super different for me. The kind of songs I like to write is just any that, like, I love being in a room with people and whatever is going on, I'll just find my role in that. And so it doesn't necessarily matter what the genre is or what we're talking about, if I relate to it or not, if it's a story, I just like to be a part of it. So I just anything, I'll try to write about anything, any style. Yeah.
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 So when and how did you decide to become a musician?
I was barely one, and I knew that I was going to be a musician. And kind of when I was 5, I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. My dad is a music producer and he's a pianist. So and he had a studio in Trenton. I don't know if you know Trenton. When I was a kid. And basically, what I would do as a 5-year-old is I would sit in on these sessions and watch them and get to be a part of this scene that I didn't know anything about. That kind of so growing up in a recording studio definitely helped me kind of figure out if I wanted to do it or not. And so that's kind of when I decided I wanted to do music, was that. And then when I was 11, I started taking it more seriously, and so I did gigs in my hometown, and I started trying to be a part of music festivals in Prince Edward County. And then when I was 13, I decided to move here and take it 100% more seriously. So I mean, because my dad is a producer and a writer and a pianist and all the good stuff, I was really lucky enough to kind of just be immersed in it already. So I didn't really have a choice in whether I was going to be doing that. So I kind of just ended up here.
So how have you managed to navigate the music scene of Toronto so far?
Uh, it's been really easy in some ways and really difficult in other ways. The music industry is such a hard thing to navigate all the time. It's always changing. The music scene in Toronto is very different than the one in Vancouver and the one in Montreal. So, I mean, I feel like I've kind of figured it how to navigate it now. But as a musician, you start, like there's always more people to meet. So I feel like I've met a lot of amazing people, but I still have more to learn and still have more to see and people to meet and shows to play.
So how would you review last year, 2024?
I would say 2024 was one of my favorite musical years of my life, actually. I went on my first tour, which I mentioned before, and it was amazing. I think it was really cool to kind of be able to do what I want to do and show it in front of strangers that I really didn't know and in cities that I didn't really know anything about. And I self-booked the tour, which was a really cool experience as well, which is something I kind of learned how to do in school. And school was an amazing experience. I met so many great people, and in my like personally, in my personal life, I got to kind of be like a 19-year-old, which was really fun. Now I'm back to being an adult, but it was really fun to be kind of like a college student for a year. Last year I learned a lot about myself, and I met some really great people and played some really amazing shows. And I think last year was the year that I was like, this is what I'm meant to do. Even though I kind of knew when I was 5, this year was like, okay, I think I can do this.
Mhm. Yeah. Tell me more about the music that you like to listen to. Why do you like to listen?
So my absolute favorite artist is Billie Eilish, and has been since I was probably about 12. Um, I I love Billie Eilish because she's so vulnerable, and I really love that she has a connection with her brother, Phineas. It kind of reminds me of my dad and I, even though there's a much bigger age gap between me and my dad. But I think it's so cool to kind of see that connection in play in the industry. And it's someone who's authentically themselves, which it's not, she's not playing a character, which I really think is awesome. And I her songwriting is amazing. The production on her songs is great. All her performances are awesome. So I'd say she's like my number one. In terms of other people, I mean, I grew up on Prince. My dad loves Prince. That was like, we'd listen to Let's Go Crazy in the car, and we'd bang our heads against the seats. Like, that was like my childhood. I actually just bought the record Sign of a Times original copy because that's how obsessed I am with him. So I mean, he's been a huge influence for me. He's also a bit nostalgic because I grew up with him. And artists like Aretha, Whitney, that's kind of where I pull from that for vocally. I think what they do is insane, or what they did was insane. So I as a listener of music, I'm always trying to learn something from the people I'm listening to. But like I love it all. I think it's so cool. I love learning from people and from different genres, and so yeah.
That, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I personally could not see the appeal of Billie Eilish. I think I listened to like a few of her songs, and
Yeah.
it just didn't strike me as something that I could understand. So yeah, I suppose I need more explanation on that. But as to Prince, that is
Yeah.
someone that I slowly begin to understood, and when I understood it, I like it like a lot.
Yeah.
I believe that I think one of his like greatest albums is Parade. It was released in 1986, and
Yes.
like Purple Rain, it was also a soundtrack to
Yeah.
one of his movies, Under
Yeah.
the Cherry Moon, which was a hilariously bad picture if you
Yeah.
ever had a
I
chance to
haven't
watch it.
seen that one. I've only seen Purple Rain, but yeah.
Yeah,
No.
that's a lovely movie too, even though Prince is a terrible actor. I don't
Yeah.
think, but
No, I mean, I think, kind of going back to your point, I think with Prince, a lot of his stuff, like if you really listen to his stuff, it's not all meant for the like commercial radio. Um, I think Billie Eilish is being put into the commercial radio, but I don't know if she's 100%, she doesn't, I don't think she had to be there. I think, and kind of seeing, as a female musician myself, kind of seeing her the way that she's grown, I think has been really inspiring to me. And that's why I really connect with her. So, but I'm also obsessed with her. No matter what she'll release, I'll like it. I'm just one of those crazy super fans. So, but definitely listen. If you haven't listened to her new album, you should definitely listen to it.
okay, I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing you mentioned is that you listened to Prince growing up. I think I believe his music is a bit R-rated, right, for any
Yeah.
kid to listen to.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you a quick story. So I'm really close with my cousins. So my dad's sister's kids and my aunt's kids. And when we were kids, my grandma explains it how she'd go into my dad's car, and we'd be listening to like Prince and like AC/DC and whatever. And then she'd go into my aunt's car, and it would be the Wiggles. Because that's what's normal for children. I think from the time I was a kid, my dad just wanted to just, put good music into our heads. I rarely listened to the Wiggles when I was a child. Um, the most childlike thing I did was watch High School Musical all over and over and over again. So yeah, no, I might we definitely kept it PG. We didn't listen to all the R-rated Prince songs. It was mostly Purple Rain, which isn't too R-rated other than maybe like Darling Nikki, but um but yeah, so it's kind of been like that since I was a kid.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember like having to like make in some ways trying to cultivate my own musical styles. And yeah, Prince was one of them because I don't think anybody really introduced me to the kind of music that I'm listening to now, except for this one instance where a classmate whom I'm still talk to
Mhm.
introduced me to Pink Floyd's The Wall. And
Yeah.
that time I thought that wow, I couldn't believe that this is what pop or rock music can do even
Yeah.
like to tell a story
Yeah.
and to do it in such colorful ways.
Yeah. Well, I think what's really cool about, Pink Floyd and Prince and like rock music is that they don't necessarily tell a story lyrically, but they tell a story like with the instruments, which I think is really cool. That's something that I had a friend last year who introduced me to a lot of rock music. I listened to so many rock things, and it was really cool to kind of see like the art in that, like the art in, one of the artists was Bruce Springsteen, who I'm not a huge fan of, but I can really appreciate kind of where the art and the story comes from. I mean, even though his is more lyrically, you can still hear there's like a story within what the instruments, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, yeah, that's another artist that I could not get to, like Springsteen. I think he's too earnest.
Yeah. I said friend, but that was my ex that introduced me to Bruce Springsteen.
Mhm.
So I have a bit of a complicated relationship with Bruce Springsteen. So so I like some of Bruce Springsteen songs. I think he's a talented writer, but I'm not 100% on the Bruce Springsteen train.
I see. Yeah, that's totally understandable.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing living in Toronto, you must have plenty of opportunities to go to concerts and such, whether it's by like big name artists and you know, up and coming people.
Yeah, no, I mean, I go to as many of my friends' shows as I can. My friend Ella plays a lot, so I go to as many shows of hers. I love going to songwriter circles. There's a lot of those at the Transac, which is really cool. But yeah, I also participate in the really expensive concert tickets that probably aren't worth my money, but I continue to buy them anyway. I saw Alanis Morissette at Budweiser stage this summer. I've seen Tears for Fears, which is an 80s band. I've seen Billie Eilish because she was at Scotiabank. Who else? I go to a lot of shows. I've seen, I don't know if you know the band Lawrence. I think they're from Brooklyn. They're like a pop soul duo. They're like a sibling duo, and they have this like amazing band. And whenever they come to Toronto, I immediately buy a ticket. I saw that recently. But yeah, no, I go to a lot of shows. I also like my good friend Sky Wallace just did her album release show, and that was like crazy and crazy amazing. So yeah, no, I try to go as many shows as I can.
Awesome. Yeah, and Alanis Morissette is coming to this city, Budapest, this
Oh,
July.
okay.
So
Yeah,
I'm
you should go.
considering buying tickets. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Alanis is amazing. Alanis is a big one for me as well, that I didn't mention before. She is an amazing songwriter. She was actually lucky enough, well, my dad was lucky enough to actually work with her before she became famous. So I think there's a part of me that just likes to kind of listen to whatever Alanis has to say or to do or to sing because of that. So
That's
yeah.
cool. Yeah. What I do because generally I could not attend the shows and the concerts that are held by the people that I'm interviewing because
Yeah,
distance and differences in location and whatnot.
for sure.
I tend to buy CDs from them.
Hmm,
Yeah, they often cost a bit, but I suppose they are contributing to a good cause.
for sure.
So tell me, when the album comes out, do you plan to do physical media like CDs?
I would love to. I'm into like vinyl CDs. As an independent artist, we'll see how much that all costs. I'm also a huge like I love listening to cassettes, so that'd be really cool to have a couple of cassettes as well.
Mhm.
I don't know. The album will probably be out in 2026
Oh wow.
unless we get it really going. Um, but I prefer a slower process to make sure that it's all good. But yeah, no, I'll let you know when there's a physical copy that you can listen to the stuff on.
All right.
Yeah.
I think it's a good time now to talk about the Undertow single, your latest
Yeah.
musical output, which
Yeah.
was released, I believe, November of last year. So tell me more about
November
it.
of 2024. Yeah. Yeah. No, Undertow is a song that I wrote when I was 15 with my dad and actually my stepsister, Talia. And I was kind of going through a time where the friendships of high school were not living up to their expectation. Definitely wasn't like High School Musical. Um, and so we kind of just wrote the song about toxic friendship dynamics. And it's funny, I'm actually friends with the person that I wrote the song about to this day. So it ended up working out. But yeah, so we went through a bunch of versions of this song. I've re-recorded it about 3 or 4 times. We reproduced it 2 or 3 times. So this is kind of like the final version that we think is very listenable and is good for the public.
Yeah, it is. I can certainly attest to that. I love hearing the song.
Thank you. No, I'm glad you're listening.
Yeah.
Actually, we're coming out with this, hopefully this Thursday, we're coming out with a cover of Taste by Sabrina Carpenter, which is being fully reproduced and mastered. And so, yeah, so that'll be the next thing.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What appeals to you about that song and Sabrina Carpenter in general?
I actually wasn't a huge fan of Sabrina Carpenter, and I ended up seeing her show. I got a free ticket through my stepmom, and we went, and it was one of the best shows I've seen this year or in 2024. So I kind of fell in love with her stuff, and I started listening to her album, and just like all the songs on it, I sing all the time, especially like, I mean, I'm sure you've heard Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter or Please Please Please, or those are huge ones. And so she's kind of become one of my favorite people to listen to, uh especially in 2024. So Taste is a song that I thought from the moment I heard it was spectacular. It was also the opener of the Short and Sweet tour, which was really cool. We did a thing for Yamaha Canada Music where it's a contest called What You Bop, and basically, I was hired to record a version of a popular cover song. And so I did Taste by Sabrina Carpenter with another producer, Paul Chin, who did an amazing track for that. But it wasn't necessarily my style. So then my dad and I kind of reproduced it. And so that's why we're releasing Taste. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I look forward to listening to it.
Yeah.
Again, she's Sabrina is another one of these artists that I don't really get the appeal of, but
Yeah. No, she's cool.
yeah,
Definitely check her out.
yeah, I do know that she used to date this really great Irish actor, Barry Kagan,
Oh
Caleb.
yeah. Yeah.
I think they broke up right now, but I
I
like his
think
work.
they're broken up. But yeah. No. They were a very cute couple. He's in the Please 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 music video.
Yeah,
Oh.
and he's in one of my favorite movies, The Banshees of Inisherin, with Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson.
Oh, cool.
That's a hilariously dark picture.
I have not seen it.
Oh,
I'm like a rom-com addict. So I only watch rom-coms.
my favorite romantic comedies are made by Woody Allen.
Okay.
Yeah, Manhattan would be a recommendation.
Cool. I will check it out.
Yeah. So, and another thing too, like, I remember listening, like watching the High School Musical movies growing up. At least the first
Yeah.
two parts. I never saw the third part. That was the one
Third
where
movie is the best one.
really
Yeah.
that was the one where they released it in theaters, and
Oh, okay.
I didn't feel like checking it out, but I saw those on TV, the first two, and even then, like as a non-high schooler, I didn't find that to be like an accurate depiction of high school. And
No, it's not at all. I think, but as a child, I was very innocent, and that is what I wanted high school to be.
a lot of music and I guess people who are nice to each other most of the time.
Yes, exactly. That's what I thought my high school experience was gonna be, but didn't end up being like that. Especially, I actually was one of the pandemic babies that came out of like I the pandemic was happening in grade 10 and 11 for me. So I kind of only got like grade 9 and grade 12.
I see.
So yeah,
Yeah.
but it all worked out.
Yeah, it's quite unbelievable that was it the today's kids' depiction of high school, like at least the most popular one is the TV show Euphoria, which is not something that I would rather watch, but I know
No.
it's really bleak.
Yeah, it's really dark, that show. I've seen I don't even know if I watched the second season, but the first season it's very dark. I think like that's kind of what I mean, like you're right. Kids want that, but it's definitely I like High School Musical more than Euphoria.
Yeah. I suppose my favorite high school movie is American Pie.
I haven't seen American Pie, but
Yeah,
I've heard about
it's some of the jokes are really dated.
it. Yeah.
Uh, but it's a neat time capsule of at certain times when these jokes can fly past censor, so to speak, or fly past public taste. And
Right.
it was released in my birth year, which is 1999.
Oh, okay, cool.
And yeah, I first watched it when I was 13. And let's just say that I became a man that day when I watched this particular scene, which if you watch it, you probably know. And if anyone here is watching American Pie, they will know.
Yeah. Cool. That's awesome.
That's a great movie. It's really fun. And it's
Yeah, I gotta watch it.
yeah, be prepared though.
Yeah, I
Um,
have been prepared.
so tell me about your most streamed single on Spotify thus far. It's called The End Lies Ahead.
Yeah, this song we wrote in the pandemic. I actually started with the verses and the pre-chorus. I had written that. I spent a lot of time writing songs in my bed, so I was writing that song on my bed, and I couldn't find the chorus. There was like no way. I only had the line, "The end lies ahead." The rest of the chorus, I was like, I can't do this, and I've been harassing my dad to help me write this chorus for like probably 2 weeks, and he finally sat down and he like wrote the chorus in about 2 minutes, and then the song was done. So I ended up performing that song. I don't know. I think when I was looking at your podcast, you did an interview with Summer Bennett.
Yeah, a few times. She's based in Newfoundland. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was in a program called Honey Jam, and we were on in Honey Jam at the same year. So in Honey Jam, I performed The End Lies Ahead. That was like the song that I chose to perform at the end of the year show. And it ended up after that show, just people really liked it and it ended up getting so many streams. And I mean, it was awesome. I think it's really cool that people still connect with that song.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful song. I got to listen to
Thank
it.
you.
It's awesome.
Thank you.
So did you get to meet Summer?
I did. I met Summer only a couple of times. I don't know if she came to any of the Honey Jam events. I'm not 100% sure, but I definitely met her at the end of the year show, and she's lovely. She was wearing this like beautiful like pink dress, which was so cool. So I didn't talk to her much, but I follow her, and what she's doing is amazing.
Yeah, I say so. I think so too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I talked to her. The last time I talked to her, it was on her latest EP,
Oh, okay.
1000 Fahrenheit. That's the name of it. And yeah, those are
Cool.
some really great songs on that.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I've only listened to a couple of her singles. But her singles that I've listened to are amazing.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So tell me about the highlights of the tour that you did last year.
The highlights. I mean, it was really fun because it was a family affair. I went on tour with my grandparents and my dad, and we all were in a van for a week, which was definitely a learning experience. To not, you really shouldn't be in a van with someone for that long. um, but it was super fun. Festival called Folk, which is in Owen Sound. And that was like my first music festival I'd ever done. And it was such a fun time. It did end up raining for most of the time, but I still ended up being able to do my performances, which was really cool. It's an outdoor festival, which is why the weather would affect it. But it was super fun. I loved that. I also went to Ottawa, and that was one of my favorite shows I've ever played. And then I played Montreal for the first time, and I visit Montreal at least 2 or 3 times a year. I love Montreal, I love the culture there. I also was able to sell out my people that but the whole tour was the highlight. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah, you mentioned going to Montreal and Ottawa. Yeah, those are my two favorite cities to go to when I was living in Canada. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I love them. Montreal was where Leonard Cohen became famous, and he's one of my top artists to listen to.
Oh, cool. Yeah, yeah. Leonard Cohen's awesome. No, Montreal is wonderful. The food in Montreal is insane. And I always probably gain 10 pounds when I go to Montreal because I love the food there.
And I have fond memories of going to Ottawa. I remember that was the city where I spent my first Christmas in Canada.
Oh,
It was like
amazing. That's
snowy
very
the whole time, and I was just walking around the city when it was like dark and it was snowy. So
well, my mom and my sister, they're moving to Ottawa. And they live in Prince Edward County, but they're going to move to Ottawa. So I'll be down in Ottawa more often, which I'm really excited to kind of spend more time down there. Because again, the food there is ridiculous. There's that awesome mall. The downtown area is really cool, and the venue there is so lovely. I am so excited to check some more out.
so which parts of Canada and the world would you like to visit?
To visit or to perform at?
Both.
Both. Okay. To visit, I would love to go to Japan. I just want to, I don't know. I just really want to go to Japan. I want to try some really good food and I want to see kind of like a different side of the world. I think that'd be really cool. I've also always wanted to go to England. Love, loving. I would love. I think again, food, amazing culture, that those are the places I like to visit to perform at. I'd love to perform in LA. I'd love to see what that's like. I was lucky enough to perform in New York City, but I would love to do that again. Visiting New York once a year would be like my dream, or even living there. I'd love to perform in Vancouver. I've never been to BC, so I'd love to kind of be more in see kind of what's going on in the other parts of Canada.
Yeah, I have a distant family living in Vancouver, or at
Oh,
least
cool.
suburban Vancouver. But yeah,
Amazing.
yeah, I remember the last time I went there was because I couldn't catch my connecting flight back to my home country of Vietnam, and
Oh, okay.
they let me stay in their place for a few days.
Oh, amazing.
That was during COVID, so yeah,
Oh, wow.
things happen outside of my control, and that's why I couldn't make the flight.
Yeah. No, no. I mean, that's cool that you're from Vietnam. I've never been there either. So were you born in Vietnam or?
Yeah, yeah. Hanoi. That's the capital city. I lived there for 17 or so years.
Ah, I'm very-
Yeah. I like the food, and I think if you're not a fan of cold weather, this that would be a great place to be. But
Yeah.
otherwise, I can remember having like really fond memories of growing up there.
Awesome.
Maybe because Hanoi is not like a really livable city. It's just too crowded.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, unless you're a foreigner, people are not generally nice to you. That was my experience.
I see what you mean.
Okay. So tell me about like what do you hope your music would have an impact on the people who listen to it?
I hope that my music gives people a space to kind of be honest with themselves you know, feel like they're not alone in what they're feeling. And also to have a little bit of fun and kind of have like feel happy with being honest with yourself. I think that's a big theme in my life, as musically and personally. And I think it's really important for people to just be authentically themselves.
Mhm. Yeah, I think you're doing a great job doing that, and I certainly hope that you're keeping it up.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. And I do like to comment on the fact that you're wearing your hat on backwards. That's something
I am.
I sort of stopped doing since I was 14. So
Oh, okay.
glad that you're bringing that back.
I am doing this because I really like this hat, but it doesn't look as good forwards.
Mhm.
It looks better like this.
Really? Yeah. My favorite hat that I have is actually I have two. One is this toque, I believe that's how you call it.
Toque, yes.
Is it toque or toque?
I call it toque. I think it's toque.
Okay. So two.
Mhm.
That I got from the Trent University
Oh, cool.
store. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was my alma mater, so to speak, the school that I went to, and I think it was the first piece of warm winter clothing that I bought. So
Oh, really?
I'll keep it there. And my second favorite hat is this red hunting cap, which remind me of one of my favorite literary characters, Holden Caulfield from Catcher in the Rye.
Oh, okay, cool.
His distinctive feature is that he wears his cap all the time, and
Oh, cool.
it has symbolic significance if you ever read the novel. But
I have not read the novel, but that
it
is very cool.
it's a book that means a lot to me because I read it when I was 13, and it sort of like triggered my love for reading ever since. I just
Oh,
cannot
awesome.
stop reading even to this day. It's a sort of breakthrough experience, the same way that I listened to the album The Wall for the first time, or
Yeah,
when I watch the movie Eraserhead by David Lynch, who recently passed away, is that
yeah,
they both sort of show me that there are other ways in which art in general can be made, and
yeah, for
it sort
sure.
of blew my mind.
Yeah, no, it's very cool. I haven't seen Eraserhead either, but I now want to check it out because everyone is talking about it because of David Lynch passing.
Yeah,
But I know that he was Canadian. Yeah, he's Canadian, right?
that would be Cronenberg. Yeah, Cronenberg's Canadian, but David Lynch is American.
He's American. Okay. I was gonna say I wasn't sure about that, but he's great.
Yeah, yeah, do check it out. Yeah, Eraserhead is a wonderful movie, but again, I suppose like American Pie, you have to come at it prepared.
Yeah, no, I mean totally makes sense.
Yeah, I believe you have a poster. Was it Lizzie McAlpine
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
door
No,
here?
I saw her live a couple years ago. And then the one on the bottom is a Shawn Mendes poster from his album Wonder, which is one of his more recent albums.
All right. Okay. So finally, Siobhan Bodrug, what does music mean to you?
Music means a lot of things to me. Music is my outlet, and which makes it really special for me. Music is also my career, so it's a really difficult thing, but it's also really liberating. So I feel like music means a lot of music is dreams for me, and music is also reality.
Okay, that's a wonderful way to answer that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
thank
ask
you.
every musician like this question at the end of it, and they all give very different, interesting, and thought-provoking answers. And yours was certainly one of them.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Siobhan, thank you very much for joining this show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an excellent conversation.